Section 1.3, I put 1.3a because we are going to spend a couple of days on this, so it's going to be a real quick one here. So let's see, section 1.3a, we're going to do the midpoint formula. Section 1.3b, or day 2, we're going to do the distance formula. So on this one here, it says using the midpoint formula. So midpoint and segment bisectors. The midpoint of a segment is the point that divides the segment into two congruent segments. Remember, this right here means congruent. So we're talking about, we're going to put it into two congruent segments. So in this case right here, M is the midpoint of, again, if we look here, we have line segment AB. So we're going to say M is the midpoint of line segment AB. So that tells us, remember from congruent, we know that the distances are equal. So we can say that AM is equal to MB. Remember, since there's no line segment line or line with the arrows or a ray over the top of it, it means distance. And now when we're talking about congruence, we're going to always have to use one of those things I just said. So in this case here, it's saying that the midpoint of the segment, so we're going to say segment AM is congruent to segment MB. And again, remember yesterday I told you that the tick marks show congruence. All right, so a segment bisector is a point ray line segment or plane that intersects the segment at its midpoint. Or a segment bisector, a midpoint or a segment bisector bisects or cuts into two equal parts a segment. So on this one right here, again, we're saying it bisects. So we know that this line right here, this DC, is bisecting or cutting in half line segment AB. All right. So since it's doing that, again, it's telling you that that's true because of the tick marks right there and right there again. All right. So we know that line DC bisects, even though it's not perpendicular, it's still going through M, the midpoint. So we know that it's going to bisect line segment AB. All right. So example 1, in the figure, PM is equal to 1.8 millimeters. So we're saying, so it's saying from here to here is 1.8 millimeters. And it wants us to find the total distance there. So we know that MQ is also 1.8 millimeters. So which one is the segment bisector of PQ? So the segment bisector, it's asking us to identify, so it's asking us to do that. So again, if it's PQ, we know that that's the midpoint, and we know that this right here is what is going to be bisecting it. Now, is that a ray? Is that a line? Is that a point? So on this one right here, so when we identify, we're going to say, when we identify the segment bisector, it is a ray. So remember, the ray goes from MT. So we are going to put L like there, because remember, M is your end point there also for that ray. All right. So according to what we know from yesterday, we know that PQ, which is the total, is equal to PM plus MQ. And we just said that PM was 1.8. It was given to us. We know that MQ is also 1.8 because we know that by the segment addition postulate, and it's cutting it in half. So we can add those up, and that will give us 3.6 or 3 6/10. Again, since they told us millimeters, we're going to have our answer put millimeters. Okay. Example 2. Point M is the midpoint of AB, and it wants us to find the length of AB. So we know if it's the same, we know that AM here is the same as MB here. Because again, the tick marks tell us it's congruent. Since that is congruent, we know also that it breaks it up into 2 equal parts. So we can again say here, in this case here, we can say that AM, the distance AM, is equal to the distance MB. So now we are going to say that is 3x minus 4 is equal to 2x plus 1. All right. So again, I'm going to subtract 2x. I'll go ahead and do this, but after a while, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to start thinking. So we're going to say it's 2x. We're going to subtract 2x. I could have done that in my head because 3x minus 2x is just 1x. Minus 4 is equal to 1. All right. Or, again, now I'm just going to add 5. Plus 4 plus 4. So we'll get that x is equal to 5. So now, is that our answer? No, they want us to find the length of AB. So we know that AB, I'm going to go over here now. We know that AB is equal to AM plus MB. All right, so we're going to substitute in 5. Into AM or MB. Now remember, because they're the same, I'm only going to have to do it into one of them. So I'm going to choose MB. So we know that we're going to have 2 times 5 plus 1. So that will tell us that the length of MB is equal to 11. So since MB is equal to 11, we know that AM also has to equal 11. So the total length of AB is going to be 11 plus 11, which is equal to 22. Now on this one here, if they don't give you any units, a lot of times on the aspect, they'll want you to put something. If they don't give you millimeters or centimeters or inches or anything like that, you can just always put units. So our answer would be 22 units. Now on your homework, since it's a drag and drop or you fill in the blank, a lot of times they will put in the units for you on this one here. All right, so we're again talking about the midpoint, and knowing that, we should remember the midpoint formula, which tells us if A, and again I'm going to call that point x1, y1, and B as x2, y2 are points in the coordinate plane, then the midpoint M of line segment AB has coordinates M is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2, or divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So it's basically giving you the average. All right? So let's see here. On the next one, our last example for today, again, I told you it was going to be a quick one here. It says that the endpoints of AB are negative 8 and 7, and b is equal to 5 and 1, find the coordinates of the midpoint M. All right. So to do that, since they're telling us those are the endpoints, so if you're thinking about it, if we wanted to draw a quick drawing here, all right, it's telling us again, and I'm just making it straight. We know it's not going to be straight, but that doesn't matter. All I have to do is show that A is going to be negative 8 and 7, and B is going to be 5 and 1. So now all we're going to have to do here is show that those are my endpoints. So again, I'm going to call this one here x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. And now I'm just going to use the formula. So it's telling us our midpoint is going to be x1 plus x2. So that's going to be negative 8 plus 5 divided by 2. And let's see. 7 is my y1, my y2 is 1, divided by 2. All right, let's go ahead and work that out. And that will give us, let's see, negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. So for our x value, we're going to have negative 3 halves. All right. If you said negative 1.5, I think either way would work for you on your homework. All right. The second one, 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 divided by 2 would give us 4. And that's my final answer. Okay. All right. Now the second one is a little different. It is telling us that we know the midpoint and we have to find one of the endpoints. We're given one of the endpoints, we just don't know what the other one is. But again, I'm still going to use the same formula. So on this one here, I'm going to say M is equal to, again, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. In this case here, it is telling us our midpoint is 2 and negative 3. So I'm going to say 2 and negative 3 is equal to, now I'm just going to choose one of them to be x1, y1. So we'll call this x1, y1. You could have called x2, y2 if you wanted to, but again, we're just going to plug it in here. So we know our x1 is equal to 4. x2 is the one that we're going to be looking for. And again, it's going to be divided by 2. And then we have our y1 as 1 plus y2. That's the one that we're going to be looking for. That's going to be our points for Q. And we're going to divide that by 2. All right. So remember, this here is your x value, and this is your x value. So knowing that, we can state that 4 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to our x value of our midpoint, which is 2. All right, and now we're just going to solve that. So remember, I'm going to solve for this x. Remember, this is a fraction bar, so that means I have to take, and I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 2. When I multiply both sides by 2, remember, these two are going to go away, so I'll have 4 plus x2 is equal to 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and now to get x2 by itself, I'm just going to subtract 4. So I can say x2, or x sub 2, is equal to what's 4 minus 4 is 0. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing for our y value there. All right, so we're going. This is our y value of our midpoint. This is our y value of our 2. So we can also state on that one there then that, let's see, -3 is equal to 1 plus y2 divided by 2. Again, on this one here, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I'll have -6 is equal to 1 plus y2. To get y sub 2 by itself, I'm going to subtract 1. So I'll get that y sub 2 is equal to -7. And I'm done there, except for what do I need to put? They're telling me to find the coordinates of endpoint Q, so I called it. So I found the endpoints, so now I just have to say, so Q is equal to our x value was 0, our y value is -7. I'm done. Pretty straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you saw that. Homework will be easy on this one too. Thank you.